The business, motherfucker.
The Daily Read. Your source for news, politics, sports, and all things trending. Here's your host, Marcus Gentry.
There are those in our party who believe that as the presiding officer over the joint session of Congress, that I possess unilateral authority to reject electoral college votes. And I heard this week that President Trump said I had the right to overturn the election. But President Trump is wrong. I had no right to overturn the election. The presidency belongs to the American people and the American people alone. And frankly, there is no idea more un-American than the notion that any one person could choose the American president. Under the Constitution, I had no right to change the outcome of our election.
Welcome to the Daily Read, and I am your host, Marcus Gentry. The plot is getting thicker and thicker and thicker, people. Okay? Mike Pence, the cowardly lion, like on, The Wizard of Oz, finally found a pair. Now, I'm going to tell y'all what this is. He knows his political future is in dire straits, and now he's thinking about his legacy. I told you guys a few weeks ago that we men and women, as we get older, we start to pay more attention to our legacy instead of what's right here in front of us. Like right now, I have several businesses I'm trying to get started because I'm thinking about my legacy. You know, what I'm going to leave my kids and my grandkids when I leave this earth. And the same way with Mike Pence. He's still a coward. He should have been stepped up. It shouldn't have took him 13 months to come out and tell the truth about what Donald Trump wanted him to do, what he could do, and what he couldn't do. You know, I'm thinking, now this is my opinion, I'm thinking that Mike Pence wanted to ensure that he had no other option as far as his political aspirations. Because as long as Donald Trump's around, he would never be president. Never. He's not going to be governor or nothing. He's not going to be a senator again, a congressman, none of that. They was talking about hanging Mike Pence during the January 6th riots. So his options are gone as far as political power. He knows this. Now the only thing he can do is try to get his legacy straightened out where people in the future won't attach him to being a part of the first American coup in this country. Actually, the second. The first American coup in this country was the Civil War and all of that hoo-ha that came with that. That was the first. He don't want to be attached to this because he knows history and he knows how people look at the Civil War as enemies of the country. He don't want his kids and grandkids to be attached to that. Donald Trump doesn't care. We're going to talk about Donald Trump's scheme to seize the voter machines because the plot is getting thicker and thicker. And I think the Democrats already is not going to let him become president again. But I think that there's a small group of Republicans behind the scenes. They're not going to do this out in public. Okay? They're not going to do this out in public because they don't want to upset the base and get voted out of office. But behind the scenes, there are probably Republicans who are fighting against Donald Trump being reelected again too. So he might try to run, and I'm going to talk about why he's trying to run again too. But he might try to run, but chances are he'll never make it as president again. Let's get into these details about how Trump tried to seize the voter machines.
That draft executive order the Trump White House considered involving the military. Your reaction?
Well, this is absolutely fantastic that we're even having this discussion. First off, General Milley made it eminently clear last year when he gave his address to the armed forces of the United States that the military does not get involved inside of political actions in the United States. Donald Trump could have issued that executive order. It would have been immediately dismissed out of hand by every officer and enlisted in the armed forces. It is patently an illegal order. That right there, we have an obligation to resist and disobey unlawful orders. The big problem here, Alicia, is what would have happened if National Guard units from states that favor Trump would have been ordered by their state governors to do what the armed forces couldn't do. This is literally the definition of a Latin American or sub-Saharan African style coup d'etat.
Basically what they saying, people, is we came very close to having the first successful coup in this country. Okay? The Civil War, they lost. They lost this time. But you have governors in their states who are trying to change the Secretary of States. And they're trying to put in place people who are going to send fake electors, if he loses again, to Congress. This is going to be devastating, and I think we are looking at the end of American democracy. Now, why is that? It's simple to me because I study this stuff, but it might not be so simple to people like, you know, the normal house mom who tries to feed her kids, and the normal young adult who's on TikTok all day. Why this is so devastating, people, is because our system of democracy has been around since the founding, since the and we was never supposed to be a part of that. I want y'all to get this understood. We black and brown people in this country was never supposed to be a part of the democracy that white people enjoy. In the 60s, Martin Luther King Jr., Malcolm X, John F. Kennedy, Lyndon Baines Johnson, when they came in and gave the equal rights to everyone under the banner of the Constitution, that changed the ball game. Because if you look at the document, the original Constitution, it doesn't recognize blacks as being full humans. Every man has indelible rights. Every man and woman in this country has rights, right? But women and blacks and Native Americans was never supposed to be a part of that. Okay? Let's get this understood. What happened is, as time went on, we minorities and women in this country started to advance under democracy. We started to do good under democracy. And then once President Obama became president, it made a lot of white people mad. Not because he was some kind of Muslim plant, not because he was a bad president, not because he was a good president, just because he was black. That messed a lot of people's minds up in this country. I'm going to go further into detail on that. But let's get back into these clips, because I want y'all to get a full understanding how close we came.
So when you talk, Malcolm, about National Guards being ordered by governors in Trump-supporting states to intervene, have the guardrails been set so that should this happen in the future, we are protected and our democracy is protected?
Well, the Constitution itself is the guardrail, right? The very fact that he's commander-in-chief means nothing when he issues an unlawful order. We have an obligation to disobey that order.
Understand what he's saying. The Constitution, remember, was never intended for us. But when the Constitution works for us, they want to riot. They want to protest. They want to bring out Trump flags and Confederate flags. It was never supposed to work for us. Black folks in Georgia, especially black women, came out and voted against Trump and flipped Georgia. This made a lot of people upset. It didn't just make a lot of whites upset. There's a handful of blacks who ride with Trump and the Republican Party. I'm explaining that later on in the show why they're riding along with this white supremacy move that they're trying to make. But let's get back into this.
General Milley's speech where he said the Constitution is what we have sworn an oath to. President Trump would have taken America to a completely different place. National Guard units would have to have vetoed against their own commanders, and governors are not commanders in chief, even though you have officers like the general in charge of the Oklahoma National Guard talking like he doesn't have to follow any orders that comes from the national government.
You got certain elements in this country who feel like this is not working for them because too many minorities have stepped up in power and money. Okay, let's get this understood right now. As minorities in this country who used to be some of the poorest amongst us move up the ladder in wealth and power, some of the whites are going to have to come down in wealth and power to balance everything out. Understand what that means. This is angering a lot of people. Everybody can't be rich, powerful, and wealthy and all of that. Everybody can't be that. Somebody has to take a step down in order for minorities to take a step up, because there always have to be a working class under there. So as the power shifts to where there's more of a balance, people underneath are going to be more diverse too. The power balance up here is going to be diverse, blacks and whites, and the power structure that are poor is going to be blacks and whites. A lot of white people don't want that. We got to get this understood. A lot of whites in this country don't want that.
These are the stepstones of civil war, but it wouldn't have lasted but a moment. The entire nation would have risen up against President Trump.
So, Malcolm, before I let you off the hook on this, if you were the January 6th committee, what do you do with this document?
What I do with that document? I think every person in the United States needs to understand not just that it exists. This document wasn't just two guys on a note writing this down. This was an executive order drafted within the White House, placed within the classified communication systems of the president, referencing top secret other documents, which means that this was a very, very serious document. And what we should do is we should spread this all over and really show everyone that this was a coup d'etat, that the president planned to overthrow the government with force because he was listening to a crazy lady, right? Sidney Powell, who literally has $1 billion lawsuit against her, who believed that the dead Hugo Chavez had done this. This is the height of idiocy, and we are in a very dangerous place because one half of the electorate doesn't care that any of this is real, but that we should really get to the other 65% of the American public who really would understand that Donald Trump was, and will remain to be a danger to this country.
Let's get to the part where he says half the country doesn't care. Okay? This is very important. Our minds and brains have been so numb to what's going on because a lot of our youth and middle-aged adults are so wrapped up in TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, want to be famous, modeling, all kinds of foolishness, all kinds of stuff out here, that they don't understand the threat that's looming over our heads. They don't get it. They don't want to get it. I have interviewed young minorities who are aspiring models, who are just common everyday workers. I've interviewed dope boys. I've interviewed drug dealers. I've interviewed, people just normal everyday working. And from the age of 25 on down, and sometimes 30 on down, they tell me, man, I don't even get involved in that stuff. And it's amazing. They don't even care. And what's scary about that, if they don't care, they're not going to be able to stand up when it comes. When it comes and these people are putting shackles back on you, not physical shackles like putting you back in slavery, because that'll never happen. Too many deaths it'll be too much death in the streets. But when they put those mental shackles on you to where when you walk into a place, you can't get no help, but the white person walks in and jumps the line and gets in help before you, and you like, it's because you didn't care. You didn't care enough to step back and realize what's going on with us in this country. They don't care. As long as they have a little money, a little fame, a little YouTube sensation, it's nothing to them.
There was a frustration that we hadn't had the opportunity to present the evidence that we thought we had of different voter fraud schemes that had been kind of, or theories that had been pitched around. And we kind of expected that day to be the day that we kind of made the case in conjunction with what's been called the Green Bay sweep at this point, which is the Ellipse rally was supposed to be like the opening argument, if you will. They were supposed to present hard evidence that was kind of the hook. And then inside the Capitol, when the split happened, the Green Bay sweep started and the objections started, there was supposed to be more evidence presented at each one of those objections when the House and Senate split. So to back Peter's account up, the violent disruption at the Capitol was extremely frustrating for us because we felt like it prevented us from being able to present our case to the world with all of the eyes upon us.
When were you first made aware then of the so-called sweep?
I never heard it referenced to the sweep, but as we were doing the March for Trump bus tour, we were in communication and sending people that we had met along the way who had signed different affidavits to different members of Congress to be able to have the opportunity to have that evidence.
I know I'm jumping around a little bit, okay? I know I'm jumping around a little bit, but all of this is connected. Okay, Malcolm Nance was talking about how there were memos passed around on seasoned voter machines. This guy's talking about how this Green Bay sweep, which is really just a coup attempt, was supposed to cause all kinds of confusion. Mike Pence was supposed to send the tally back to the states, and then the states were supposed to send the fake electors to get certified. This is the RICO Act. This is what prosecutors used to use against mob bosses and mob figures. They used to collect all of this information and tie it together. These people are basically rats fleeing a sinking ship. This man right here was one of the promoters of the January 6th rally. Not the riot, but the rally. You see, the head is Donald Trump. Then he got all of his minions on different fronts trying to stop the election. You had the fake electors over here. You had the so-called general trying to get the military to seize voting machines. You know, you had all kinds of confusion going on, and then the riots happened. Okay? When the riots happened, that was also a part of it, but it was a last-ditch effort to stop everything. But Mike Pence did his job. Okay? Now, should he be celebrated? No. Because the man called around and asking people, could he legally do this? And they told him no. So he didn't do it. But what if there wasn't a person like Mike Pence who's going to do his duty? You know, what if Donald Trump had somebody like Ron DeSantis of Florida as his vice president? You know, this is dangerous stuff, people. We are looking at possibly the end of American democracy. And the reason why they're trying to end American democracy is because it's not just working for them anymore, it's working for us too. The same righteousness that they force upon the world, talking about how American democracy is the best, it was never meant for black and brown people. But once black and brown people accepted it and got with it in the 60s with the civil rights, now they don't want American democracy no more. Now they want to go to autocracy. You know, they want dictators now. You know, and they want somebody white.
Do you think Donald Trump bears responsibility for that storming?
I do think he bears some responsibility. From an organizer standpoint, we had done several D.C. rallies after the election. We knew what kind of logistics it took to move a crowd of that size from one place to another. We had led people to go from Freedom Plaza to the Supreme Court, which is about the same distance. It required a huge logistical effort. I mean, medics, stopping stations, marshals, closures of streets, cooperation with, a dozen different government agencies. None of that was in place for a march to the Capitol. If they had wanted to do that, we would have been happy to do that. We had the templates to do it. Right. None of that was in place. And so I do think it was wildly irresponsible to send people down to the Capitol that way.
Right, which is, as we showed even tonight, what the president did. Would you ever vote for him again?
I don't think I could. I would find it very, very difficult to support Donald Trump. Especially, I mean, you look at, since I've had an opportunity to go back and look back and really reflect upon a lot of what I call warning signs that I excused or overlooked. I certainly would caution anyone against going to work for a Trump campaign.
Like I said, these people are basically rats fleeing a sinking ship. Okay? The Democrats are in power. Right now, the Democrats have a more righteous stance because they know that everything that happened on January 6th and all the other plots was mostly illegal and goes against everything that democracy and the Constitution stands for. So now, see, guys like him, if Donald Trump would have did this and pulled it off, he wouldn't be singing the same tune. Same way with Mike Pence. If Donald Trump would have pulled this off, Mike Pence would have been right there by his side, a loyal puppy dog. See, this is not just the rats fleeing the ship. These are conspirators trying to go back into the shadows so they can plot again and make it better the next time. That's what's going on with this. They're trying to slink back in the shadows. And whoever gets busted and go to jail, that's on them. They're trying to slink back into the shadows. We can't let these people slink back into the shadows. They're too dangerous. We finna get into this first commercial break, and when we get back, we're gonna go into some more details about this coup plot.
The business, motherfucker.
The Daily Read.
The business, motherfucker.
The Daily Read.
When did you first hear anything about the Oath Keepers being involved on January 6th, and was that a bad idea?
Yeah, so there was there was a split within the organizer groups. The group that had control, Women for America First, who I was working in conjunction with, we used really quality professional security, guys who do big crowd sizes. They're licensed, they're insured, they're serious people. There were other people who were advocating for kind of the amateur security, which included
bad idea, the Oath Keepers.
Welcome back to the Daily Read, people. I had to play that clip because if you notice, his lawyer that was on air with him started scratching his collar. You know, that was a sign when Ari asked him, you know, when did you first find out that the Oath Keeper was involved in this? He basically was giving this man a signal, don't incriminate yourself, because the Oath Keepers are going down. Okay? The leader of the Oath Keepers is already incarcerated. He's locked up for trying to plot against America, insurrection, the Insurrection Act, and he's a dangerous man. And even his wife came out and said he's a dangerous man, and he has this God complex. So this, like I say, this guy is basically trying to slink back into the shadows. And after a year or two goes by, if he gets away and don't get charged with nothing, after a year or two go by, he's going to be right back on Alex Jones. He's going to be right back plotting. This is what I mean when I say people like him and Mike Pence are, you know, they're co-conspirators, but they fingerprints is not too much on this. They knew about it, but they participated a little bit, but they participated in a way where now they have deniability. So what's going on is they're trying to slink back into the shadows. Mike Pence trying to slink back into the shadows. Mike Pence knows that his time in politics is over with. But remember what I always tell y'all about how the people who started the Civil War, their generations have been taught hatred over the decades. And the plot has been going on to take this country back for white people. So now these few conspirators who's involved in this, but they stand a chance to get away, they're trying to slink back into the shadows. That way they can manipulate things behind the scenes for a later date, because they know the jig is up. Let's get back into this.
But you did previously, just about half a year ago, say, online, quote, I encourage people to attend an Oath Keepers meeting, get involved in the Anon research group. And I do want to play, again, for your response, because all this stuff matters, some of the way you sounded, this was beforehand, when you were talking about people's possibly being well-armed, arming themselves. This was at a different rally, but one of the similar ones you organized. Take a look.
A well-armed and self-reliant populace who take personal responsibility can never be oppressed and will never be ruled. I lost all my guns in a tragic boating accident, but I have a feeling you guys have me covered.
That was just weeks before all this went down.
Man, this guy's on point. This newscaster is on point, because matter of fact, there was an Oath Keeper standing behind this guy as he was talking and spewing out all of this craziness. So basically what's happening is they're about to throw the Oath Keepers and the Proud Boys under the bus. They're going to slink back into the shadows and start plotting again. That's what's going on, people. That's what's going on. He brought out a recording of this man right before the January 6th riot, talking about guns and bringing out guns and having him covered. Basically, he's telling these people, you got me covered. I'm boosting your head up, but he's not participating in this, because this is what you call deniability. So now he can slink back into the shadows and start plotting again with different people. Them people, they finna go to jail. They might serve 10, 20 years. But he finna start plotting with different people now. Maybe the kids of these people. Maybe the grandkids of these people. He might turn into another Roger Stone. Let's continue on with this. This is good. This is important.
Do you stand by that?
Ari, I'm going to chime in.
I want to let Dustin answer the question, and then you can, of course, add to it.
Well,
but
I just want to say, there are communications that the committee, that we have turned over to the committee, that would cast Dustin Stockton, my client, in an overwhelmingly positive light.
But you jumping in as if he can't answer for himself could make him look in a negative light.
A narrative.
Just you want to talk about the light? I'd love to have Dustin respond, and then you go second. Dustin, do you want to respond?
What you're playing is constitutionally protected speech. But go ahead, Dustin.
The lawyer knows that this is a setup. That's why I say, this newscaster, he's on point. And the lawyer had to step in, because he knows this is a sticky situation. People are finna go to jail behind this. You see, everybody's mad at the Justice Department because they haven't made a move yet. But I'm almost willing to guarantee you, behind the scenes, the Justice Department is getting a case built against Donald Trump, all of the people that was involved in this coup attempt. And they just letting the January 6th committee, they just letting them do their thing right now. And people are mad on the Democrat side because they're not moving fast enough for them. But trust me, Joe Biden, the Department of Justice, and other Republicans who don't like Donald Trump, they're plotting behind the scenes. They finna get rid of him for good. Donald Trump will never be president again. I'm finna call it right here, right now. Donald Trump will never be president again. No matter how many rallies he got, no matter how many supporters he got, they finna shut that down, because he is too dangerous for this country. Okay? Now you can call me on that now. I don't think he will ever be president again. Let's finish this off.
I was going to use a bad word, the idiots who have tarnished so many good groups with their violence on January 6th.
Ari, if Dustin Stockton had his way, and this is based on all the communications and correspondences that the committee is in possession of, the violence that took place on January 6th would never have taken place. There are communications that substantiate that, where he expresses his concern in the days and weeks leading up to the 6th about certain rogue actors that he's referencing, and they're in.
I think a fair.
Obviously, we know what's going to happen at the Capitol, and that we need these legislators to do the right thing. We need them to look at the evidence that this election was stolen and then do the right thing, because if our votes don't count, nothing counts.
He was in on this, people. See, he was in on this whole election fraud stuff. Okay? He was in on this. The problem is he has deniability. Because, number one, he wasn't all the way in on it. Like rioting himself or bringing up or starting the scheme. But when he became aware of it, he was spouting all of this stuff on the microphone about fraudulent elections. He was in on it. But he was so far outside the box that he can snatch his hand back and say, man, look, I don't know what's going on. You know, these people were amateurs. I didn't even want them there in the first place. The man is trying to sneak back into the shadows. The rats are fleeing the ship, the sinking ship, and people like him, Mike Pence, are trying to get back into the shadows. Even though Mike Pence would never be a politician again, he can still take part in political moves.
Given what's happened, Dustin, is this the time to say the election was not stolen?
Yeah, I mean, I've had a lot of time to reflect. I've sought out experts. I really love the guys at Open Source Election Technology, which is bipartisan and has been doing this stuff for a long time. I think we need to restore confidence in the election system. I think there were plenty of things, doubts cast that were illegitimate, that have caused all kinds of problem and seeded that doubt. And I hope we can work bipartisanly to come to a solution, because what I said there about having our votes count really is important. It is our expression of any kind of dissatisfaction with the system, as long as we have confidence that we can change things with the votes.
Just to be clear, you conclude that the current president, President Biden, is the lawful winner?
I do believe under the circumstances that he is the lawful winner. I accept him as the
Ari,
United
he does
States
believe
president,
that, and the
I
only thing he was involved in that same clip that you played were emails where he was expressing disgust and concern to Amy Kramer about the fact that these rogue actors like Ali Alexander and Alex Jones were being given a platform to march from the ellipse to storm the Capitol.
Once again, people, remember, the rats are fleeing the ship. You know, they're bailing out. They're trying to slink back into the shadows. Now he's throwing Alex Jones and Ali Alexander. Ali Alexander is, I think he's Hindu and black. Okay? And now is the time for me to start discussing why there are a small percentage of minorities in this country that ride with white supremacy and all the things that's going on. Let me break this down for all my people that like for me to break things down for you. This is why people who are like the Kanye West, you know, the Ali Alexanders and you know, these type of people are riding with Donald Trump. Remember when I said that as blacks come up the scale in power and wealth to equal whites, there are going to be some whites who are going to fall below the poverty line, like a lot of blacks are below the poverty line. A lot of whites don't like that. Everybody can't be rich. Okay. The few blacks, if you notice, the majority of them that ride with Donald Trump are more wealthier blacks. Okay? What happens is, I'm going to give you Kanye West for an example. He knows the people that buys his album are white. Okay? He knows this. He knows the power structure is mostly white. And there's a terminology I like to use called the Oprah Winfrey syndrome. At one time, Oprah Winfrey was the only black TV show host on television. Then Montel came along. Remember Montel? Some of y'all older people remember the Montel show. So you had Montel, which is a black male, then you had Oprah, which is a black female. Out of all of these talk shows, you had two blacks, a black male and a black female. Same thing with what's going on in society. When more blacks step up and become powerful and wealthy, these minorities, these blacks and brown people, are not the only ones in the room with all of these white people anymore. So now they have to compete against other blacks. You see, at first, you had whites as the power structure, the few blacks that they allow to get power up under them, and then those blacks that have power, they treat the rest like crap. The rest of the minorities like crap. But as the rest of the minorities that they treat like crap start stepping up and gaining wealth, now you can't treat us like crap no more. You know, you let the white people who are in power treat you like crap, but they gave you a few million, and now you want to step on the rest of the blacks. But once the rest of the blacks start stepping up in power and money, now instead of you stepping on other blacks, you got to compete with other blacks. I'm hoping I'm clarifying this for you, because every time I see these people, you know, the Candace Owens, the Kanye West, the Ali Alexanders, every time I see these people, it leaves a bad, it leaves a crazy feeling in my heart. Like, they know that these people are bigots and racist. They trying to hide behind policies and stuff. They don't care about no policies, because if they did, they wouldn't have tried a coup. They don't care about policies. What they care about is power. And the few blacks who have power that's running up under these people, they want their powerful masters to keep all the wealth and money, as long as they get a little piece of that. Forget everybody else. They want their little piece. I hope I clarified that for people who really not understanding why these minorities are out here. The certain few that you see riding with this are doing what they're doing. Let's get into this last commercial break, and then when we get back, we're going to end it up.
The business, motherfucker.
The Daily Read.
I'm ready.
Camera's ready.
I'm ready. Welcome to Are You Scared Talent Shows. It's a new talent show that we put on TV for y'all to get used to, because these people can't act, and so we're going to show y'all what the real deal is when you get on front of the camera and what some garbage acting look like. I tell you, garbage acting. This is Are You Scared Talent Shows, okay? We're going to show y'all some acts of some talents. $5,000. It really ain't $5,000. I just said $5,000 because $5,000 sound like some people want to come and join a talent show if it was paying $5,000. So I'm your host, Eric Jones. Are You Scared Talent Shows?
The business, motherfucker.
The Daily Read.
Of this conversation, which is you have the RNC threatening to bar its candidates from participating in debates sponsored by the Commission on Presidential Debates. The Washington Post reports, quote, during the 2020 cycle, then President Donald Trump complained vociferously about the commission at one point tweeting that it was stacked with Trump haters and never Trumpers. Bill, what do you think? Could future debates be in trouble?
Now we're finna get to the debates. 2022 and 2024, the RNC, the Republican Party, is talking about pulling out of debates. The reason why is because they know that a lot of this coup attempt stuff is going to come up. And they have no answer to them questions. Because if they tell the truth, they're going to lose. Their base is going to stop supporting them. And I'm going to tell you this. A lot of these politicians and these people like Donald Trump, they're a product of the real America. The real white America. I'm not saying that all whites in this country are racist. But there's millions in this country that in their heart think that they're better than you because you have black or brown skin. In their heart, they Karens and Kens. They feel like they supposed to have this or supposed to have that, and you're not supposed to be in this situation. And if you have no doubt in your mind what I'm talking about, think back on the times where a white person who has no power walked up to you and asked you, can I help you? What are you doing here? You might be there on business. You might have more reason to be there than he does or she does. But they walk right up to you, you know, like they control everything. And what are you doing here? Can I help you? No, you can't help me. I'm looking for a specific person. I'm here for a reason. Go on about your business. And then you come to find out later on that person that came and asked you, can they help you? They ain't even have no reason or right to even ask you that. But in their mind, they thought they did because, like I said, you have dark skin and they're white. These are dangerous people. And unfortunately, they're all over America. You know, they work with you at a job, beside you at a job. They're your bosses, your supervisors, your co-workers, the lady at the grocery store who bag your groceries up. You know, she might be one of the ones at this Trump rally full of all kinds of hatred in their heart. These are dangerous people, and they're everywhere.
There's sentiment today. One of the things that she talked about in defending the filibuster was that somehow the filibuster actually protected this comedy and unity and bipartisanship. And in fact, there's been a devolution of that. And this move now about withdrawing from the debate sponsored by the Debate Commission, I think is illustrative of that. And so, you know, I think Democrats have to go in eyes wide open and ready to, you know, to sort of fight for these elections across the country. I mean, the Trump party look at what they're doing in terms of running people for Secretary of State, of ensuring that elections boards comprise Trump sympathizers. I mean, they are doing a lot strategically to invade the infrastructure to try to protect a vote for a potential Trump president running for president.
Understand this, people. They've been infiltrating the government. But now they've ramped it up on a whole nother level. They've been doing this since the Civil War, putting people in place. Okay, let me break this down for you, for my people like me to break it down. Remember the movie The Godfather, where, you know, the Godfather told one of his nephews he didn't want him to be a made man and be a part of the mob because he wanted him to be a lawyer. You know, the mob don't need more tough guys. You know, the mob needs more lawyers. That's what you call infiltration. You take a certain few of your gang who you know will get the job done and hurt people, and you keep them over here with the gangsters. And then you take another certain part of the mob who you know are a little bit weaker, and you put them over here and make them doctors and lawyers and congressmen. That's what you call infiltrating the system. They've been doing this since the Civil War. But now they know things is coming to a head. Obama done became president for 8 years. And in their minds, they completely lost it. To have a black man as president, they lost it. And the things he did as president was not that bad, people. It was just the fact that he was black. They lost it. So now that Donald Trump was president for 4 years, they see an opportunity to control and maintain power and wealth. They would never put you back in slavery because they can't. But you don't have to be in shackles in order to be oppressed and depressed. Just by you not having wealth, and they have all the wealth, can make you oppressed and depressed in this country. I hope y'all learned something from today's show. And, keep prayer and love in your heart and stand up when you have to. This is the Daily Read, and I'm out.
The business, motherfucker.
The Daily Read.
Bring in the business.